What's up, Middle Georgia Dog Pound, and welcome to another edition of the Middle Georgia Dog Pound Live. I'm your host, Brian. There's Matt, Kevin. What's up, fellas?
About it, buddy.
Another great edition of the Middle Georgia Dog Pound Live. Looking forward to a great show. We got a guest on with us tonight, Mr. Matt Wilson, coming over from the Gulf South Conference. Looking forward to talking to him about all things NIL and the wonderful world of the transfer portal. Can't wait to hear what he has to say. Before we do that, a few housekeeping tidbits that we always like to share. If this is your first time on the show with us, please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Give us permission to show your comment on the show. We want to hear from you. Definitely want to get your questions in for Mr. Matt Wilson. Love to hear what you have to say about NIL and the transfer portal. Definitely want to be able to relay those questions to him. And guys, we got G-Day coming up 2 days from now. Praying that the weather will hold off and provide us a great game day experience there between the hedges. I know Mr. Matt has really put a lot of effort into getting our G-Day tailgate ready to go. And golly, I just hope that the weather will cooperate with us. But just in case you guys didn't know, and if you did not already have tickets, there are some tickets still available. If I can get my PowerPoint to work. There we go. So there are some tickets available, still available at GeorgiaDogs.com. Matt, I believe Matt's got some that he will be willing to give away to you. Shoot us an email. He's got 3. middlegeorgiadogpound@gmail.com. Shoot us an email if you need tickets. Matt's got 3 for you. First person to email me, your tickets are yours. So look for that banner. Just zoom past it. But look for that graphic there that I just had up. Let me see if I can go back. There we are. That's going to be our banner. Look for this banner. You'll see us in the parking lot. We got a little map up. The parking in the garage is right behind McWhorter Hall. Like to park in this area because it's easy to get out and get away from the traffic. They open up a little gate back here on the back side, if you can see my mouse, and they let us out onto the loop, and we can jettison, and you don't have to deal with the rest of the traffic. And, of course, if you are worried about transportation, right here where the parking deck is where the bus pickup and drop off is, so we'll pick you up, take you to the game, and bring you back. So no worries about being able to walk that mile from the stadium. Well, guys, what do you say we get into this thing, man? I'm a little bit out of cohorts. I don't know about you. I kind of feel strange about this whole G-Day. Normally, this time of year, we are praying that we're going to have that team. We're going to put it together this year. Going to have that magical season. This is not that feeling. I don't have that feeling. It's more of like a relief. Like, I'm going to enjoy this next season, and I'm not going to be stressed about it. What do you think?
Me and you had this conversation the other night, Brian. It is a different feeling. It's a feeling of you don't have that monkey hope hanging on your shoulder.
That's right. We don't have hope. That's right.
Yeah, hoping that we're going to get us another national championship. I think you're right. I think we're just looking forward to the next step, building on what we've already accomplished and continuing that, building it into a dynasty where it's something that you come to expect year in and year out, not
Yeah.
hope for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so I think it's the same thing. It's going to be that in difference of in the future, we've always, in the past, we've always looked at, who's coming in who can help us get us over the hump. I think now we're living in an age where we have those players. We're just going to see, well, who's going to be that person? Not so much, it's more like who's just next up to bat versus, who can we go get out of the transfer portal? Who can we get out of recruiting? Who's going to make us that extra contender? We have the people there now. It's just going to be that what's the new name on the jersey? Who's going to do it? So that's the difference for me. Like I said, we always worry about the quarterback. I think we have the next quarterback. We have the next receiver. We have the next runner. They're all there waiting. It's not like we need those pieces. They're there. It's just about, hey, let's see what team's going to be put together that's going to do it for us this year.
Totally agree. Well, tonight's the night, guys. We turned a page. The Natty shirts, they coming off. Natty flag, it's coming down. We're turning the page. We got a new logo, thanks to John Morgan for our new show for the 2022 season. Big shout out to him. John Morgan is one of our biggest supporters, and we couldn't even do a lot of this stuff without him. The graphic that you saw for our banner, John Morgan, 100%, completely. He has got so much talent with designing these things, and I just can't say enough about the guy. But hey, let's get into it. Don't want to hold our guest up any longer, but in true dog pound fashion, let's roll that beautiful Natty footage.
Championship, we're underway. Here comes the blitz. Down the middle and on the fly. Jamison Williams, extra speed on the gas and gone. And it throws, it's intercepted. Picked off, and this might be a touchdown. Battle is in. Ball game and take a knee.
In frigid Indianapolis, two Southern neighbors battle for the ultimate prize in college football. A rivalry that goes back a century and a quarter. Welcome to the College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T, a collision of SEC rivals, Alabama and Georgia.
There is no proof that Kirby Smart is a better coach than Nick Saban. There is nothing resembling truth that a Georgia quarterback's in the same class as Bryce Young. There is no proof that Georgia in big games plays better than Alabama, who know that the opposite to be true. There's in fact no proof that Georgia can be competitive against Alabama.
On the mountaintop. Demons be gone, and the drought is over. National champions at long last.
A national championship for a new generation of Bulldogs. How about that? Final score, 33-18.
I could watch that footage every single day, and I will always have a smile on my face.
Without a doubt.
Let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Let's get Mr. Matt in here. Mr. Matt Wilson. How are you, sir?
Great.
So glad to have you.
On.
Yeah, man. So good to see you. So glad to have you on. I know we've been trying to work this out to where our schedules will align, and we finally got it done, and I'm so glad to finally have you on. So, Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about the Gulf South Conference, and kind of what you've been up to.
Yeah, no, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. You know, Brian and I go way back. We when the girls were little and playing a little softball and yelling at umpires and coaches. I think Brian was the coach, so I was probably doing the yelling while he was trying to coach them up. But no, I lived in Macon, Georgia for 9 years while I was working at the Atlantic Sun Conference, now the A-Sun Conference. They rebranded, so I want to make sure we get that right. So a lot of time there in middle Georgia. Before that, I was 6 years at Belmont University as their senior, as an associate athletic director. And now for the last 7 years, I've been at the Gulf South Conference, which we like to say the SEC is the Gulf South of Division I, or others might say the Gulf South is the SEC of Division II. But really strong. I know your viewers and listeners are very familiar with it, with West Georgia and Valdosta State being two heavies in our league there from either ends of the state. So it's been a fun ride for me, a lifetime of athletic administration, and God blessed me to be able to do the work and be able to have some skill and talent to do it. So I'm excited to get to talk to you guys a little bit about my passion in athletics and what's going on around the country right now.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we are so excited to have you on. So I know I sent you some questions, some thoughts that what we wanted to kind of, where we want to try to focus at, what we want to talk about. But Mr. Matt, he sent me a couple that are just going to be totally off the wall for you. And he said, what is the best game of any sport you've ever watched in person and why?
Super easy one for me. 300 section, 35-yard line, opposite the home team's bench for the Music City Miracle. Loved it. Jumping up and down, hugging people I didn't know, feeling the stadium rock back and forth, and glad that they didn't have HD replays.
That's cool. That's cool. Let's see here. I think I had another one from Matt. He says, what is your sport history? What sports did you play and at what level?
Okay, so just for full disclosure, total wannabe athletics, total wannabe athlete. I was a subpar intramural player in college, but I sure did love sports. And I'll tell you, the passion for sports goes way back with my family. My dad coached me in every single sport I played growing up in Columbia, Tennessee, whether that was baseball, soccer with your baseball cleat shaved off the front of it so you could follow the rules, or whether it was basketball. And I'm thankful for him coaching me and the time we got. He taught me how to love sports and love my family, love God. So that sports time was special to me. But I'm a total wannabe. All the athletics come from my wife, who played Division III basketball. So we're glad both that the kids look like her and have her athletic ability. It gives us a chance.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, I was going to say your kids are very athletic. I've seen them on the court. I've seen them playing volleyball. I've seen them playing softball. Seen them playing hockey, which is amazing. Right. But yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah, I've got 2 in college now, and so my coaching days are done. So thank goodness.
Yeah, for a little while. Give it another decade, then you'd be the salty coach. That's for sure.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, let's get into the transfer portal, man. How does that tell us a little bit about, like, for the layman out here like myself? Tell me about the transfer portal. What is it? What do schools have to do to manage it? Who has access to it? Shoot.
Yeah, I think all of these conversations, we have to think about whether it's NIL or transfer portal of a pendulum, right? Swinging back and forth. And 10 years ago, our pendulum was way over to benefit the institutions and the administrators and the coaching staff. And it has swung fully to the opposite end, where we're very, very student athlete friendly is what some would call it. And others would call it maybe silly. As far as how student athlete friendly it is. So if you're in that pro student athlete camp and think that that's where it is, transfer portal is a great thing, right? You get disappointed with where you're at, you put your name into a system, coaches and other institutions can find you real quick through there with the help of the compliance directors and seeing where you're at and where you're coming from and whether you'd be eligible real quick. And it helps people move back and forth. If you're a coach and you're trying to build a program, boy, that transfer portal can be a real challenge for you. You've got to think in 2-year periods now, I think, realistically, as most coaches. If you can get 2 years out of a core group, that's going to turn out pretty good, because there's going to be a variety of reasons kids leave, right? Academics, want to get closer to home, lack of playing time. Some of them truly will be school. I didn't enjoy the campus. I think I will enjoy this campus more. I'll enjoy this opportunity. But I tell you, for our coaches in the Gulf South, it's a real challenge, because we feel like that some of our very best are getting picked off for the FCS level. In some cases, maybe the FBS level for some Sun Belt, maybe Conference USA type schools. We've even had conversations in our coaches meetings. Should we even do all freshman teams? Should we honor freshman of the week? Should we do anything that provides additional recognition, so that when the 17th administrative assistant on these teams can start going and scouring the internet for who might help us at defensive back, that no names pop up? It's a real issue for our folks. But with that said, it's super student athlete friendly. And our student athletes deserve us to give them the best chance. Now, have we gone too far? I don't know. But I think the student athletes deserve for these type of conversations to happen about how they can move around. We're not telling any, I know it's apples to oranges conversation, but we're not telling folks that are on a full ride art or music that they can't transfer to another school and pursue those same opportunities. And that'll be a similar conversation that you hear people have with NIL.
For all the folks that just jumped on board, hey, we're talking to Matt Wilson. He's the Gulf South Conference commissioner, and glad to have him on. Kevin, Matt, y'all jump in here, ask some questions. I don't want to hog the time, but go right ahead.
No, I just got a few. Excuse me. Listen, you spoke about it being a 2-year deal, and this kind of goes to my question: is how do you see it affecting the continuity in the teams? Do you see this becoming an issue combined with the transfer portal and the kids leaving programs for the search of NIL money?
Yeah, so great question, Kevin. A couple different parts to that, right? You kind of hit on the NIL, but let me talk about the continuity first. I think it's a good thing as a fan that you're rooting for logos and colors rather than players, because I think that your question kind of hits at what's going to happen. There isn't going to be as much continuity, right? If you get to see your favorite player compete for 2 years at this point, I think you're going to feel pretty lucky at this point, just because there's going to be reasons people are going to go. I mean, right now, if you have a 5-star, you hope to get 3 seasons out of them, right? Now we've reduced that to 2, because either they've got the NFL track or not. So you're going to average out 2 seasons, because somebody's going to give up after 1 and somebody's going to go pro after 3. And then we're right to that 2-year period. So I think you'll see a lot of continuity, but I don't think from a fan perspective, honestly, unless you're looking for things to get upset about, that it's going to hurt your enjoyment if the coaching staffs can continue to retool their rosters. And that'll be a challenge, because it's a whole different day in recruiting. It'll feel very, very different for those staffs. But I think most of them are making a way to do it. And then you hit on the NIL piece. We'll get some more into that. I'll be glad to talk a little bit more about that. But I think that, again, you're hitting the nail on the head there, Kevin, with where that NIL stuff's at.
Yeah, definitely want to get into NIL and talk a little bit about it. I mean, heck, let's just do it. Let's jump in and I mean, what is it? We're all living in a new world now. And I hate to say it, but I'm worried. And I think I sent you something about that $8 million NIL, quote unquote NIL deal, which I still don't believe is existing. But I mean, we're in a different world. How do we navigate that? And what do we do to put the Pandora's box, close the Pandora's box, because it's been opened with no parameters?
Yeah, I don't know that it goes back. We're desperately looking for leadership from Indianapolis at all divisional levels, and it's just not there. We've said it, the NCAA is us as a collective, institutions and conferences, and that's true. And it's a membership organization, that's true, but there's still leadership, right? The Gulf South Conference is a membership organization. There's 13 members, and I can always throw it back on presidents and ADs to make decisions, but they're looking for leadership from me. We need leadership in Indianapolis, and they've punted it, quite frankly, and hope that Washington, D.C. will provide it, which I don't have any hope in. that coming along very quickly, or to the benefit of very many people, quite frankly. So it's going to fall back onto those very influential conference commissioners. I think Greg Sankey, who shares Birmingham as a home with us, is going to be super influential on what this looks like in the future. But anybody that thinks that it's not pay for play may be a little Pollyannish on what's going on out there. Now, is that a bad thing? Maybe, probably. But there's been bagmen in college athletics for a very long time, and it just means instead of $100 bills getting stuck in their Air
McDonald's
Force
bags.
Ones after the game, yeah, McDonald's bags if you're in Knoxville, Air Force Ones if you're other places. But without a $100 bill getting stuck in by the manager who the donor, booster gave it to, now they go say, hey, I'm eating at Chipotle, or not Chipotle because that's a national chain, but I'm eating at Matt's Chicken Shack after the game, and come join me. And now I give him, hey, here's $5,000 for that Instagram post. So thanks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it brings the bag man out from, there's no need for him anymore, right? Because there's too many ways to do it legally. That's where I'm going to be curious to watch and laugh, is when people get caught cheating still in the ways of giving benefits to the student athletes. If you can't find a way now to give them what you're looking for, you're not working real hard to find it, because it is the Wild West out there.
It is. It is. I appreciate you saying that, because it is the Wild West. I mean, you got these high school players that are taking on agents to navigate their NIL deals while they're in high school. How insane is this?
It is crazy. But if you're that athlete, you better have them. Hey, Monday, there's a lot of student athletes that are going to file taxes at a whole different way than they've ever had to file them because of all these NIL deals, or they better ask for an extension and find somebody real quick that can help them with it, because Bryce Young's tax bracket changed a little bit in the last year, based on his NIL stuff. So they need to have these advisors and things. But, if you can't find a way to get an inducement, it's really difficult. You hear anecdotally from coaches in the transfer portal, not ours so much, because our NILs look very different. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But at the larger schools, the schools that Georgia's competing with in the transfer portal, the question isn't how deep is your quarterback room. It's what's the NILs look like, and then how deep is the quarterback room, because I can't get them if it's a deep quarterback room, but they better be on the table first.
What does the NIL look like in Division II?
It looks like a couple things. So one, it's mostly based on social media followers, right? So if you have there might be a unicorn in Division II that has a great social media following. And in my experience, it's typically female athletes that have built some sort of brand through Instagram or TikTok is where you'd see them. And they might look like a more traditional NIL deal where there's cash. The rest of them are mostly trade or a little cash back on a coupon code where we've won the game after, come join me at Chipotle, and Chipotle gives them a free burrito or two, or they use this code and you get a little bit back. So you see a little bit of that from our level, but we really are trying to educate our folks to make sure they don't get taken advantage of, because there's pyramid schemes in real life, there's pyramid schemes in NIL, and there's some opportunities for that to happen. I think many Division I folks get taken in things unless they've really got bad advice or aren't paying attention. But our folks just looking to chase a few extra dollars and not getting attention could put themselves in a bad spot pretty quickly.
Gotcha.
Robert Sims has a great question. It says, what are your thoughts on Nick Saban's comment that NIL is unsustainable? Are we now at the point where an NIL is basically paying to get the best players on a team?
Yeah, that's a really good question from Robert there. I think it is going to be difficult to sustain the way it is without any guardrails. When you look at the growth of the collectives recently, for folks to be able to donate money for those groups to farm out to student athletes, for making an appearance, doing community service, things like that. I don't know how you continue to have that year after year after year. And it's going to hurt the institution philanthropy. It's going to hurt institution marketing and sponsorship, because there's only so many dollars, right? Eventually, if they choose to give them to the student athlete, which I can't argue with a donor. If you had a choice to give $5,000 to the Georgia Scholarship Fund or $5,000 to the NIL Collective for Georgia, I think most Dog fans would probably like to see it go straight to the kid's pocket rather than go into the scholarship fund and hope it ends up in the right spot.
Yeah, I totally agree. John Morgan says, how does it work if a kid is on scholarship and they decide to transfer? Can that scholarship then be offered to another student? I know schools have limited offers they can give.
Yeah, good question, John. So in our league and in Division II, once somebody enters the transfer portal, you can begin reducing their scholarship and not renew them for the next year. So we wouldn't necessarily cut somebody for the spring, but we would say, hey, if you're leaving, we're cutting your opportunity. That would allow them to make an offer to somebody else with their scholarship in the next year. So that's how most of our schools are doing that.
Gotcha. Well, I had a few questions here that I had wrote down, and I just feel like that we've jumped the gun on instituting this NIL without some rules or regulations in place. I mean, what do you see is the long-term problems under the current rule system? I mean, obviously there is none, but I mean, what can we do to legislate this or get a grasp on it? Because it's like you said earlier, it's the wild, wild west.
I think it's going to be tough to do that because we all know the Pandora's box. You used it already. It's hard to put toothpaste back in the tube, right? So I think it's going to be hard to do this. They're going to have to put some guardrails up. I don't know what that's going to look like, but having different rules at 50 different states at hundreds of different institutions is going to be very difficult. But sustaining it is just, I really think it's going to be a challenge. And there'll be people that'll talk about a lot of different solutions, right? Can the Power Five break away? Maybe, but and I have no inside scoop, so let me start that. So before it hits the wire, I've got inside scoop from Sankey and I's run the other day or something. I have no inside scoop. But why does the SEC not add 4 more programs and just do their own thing? Why do they need anybody? Why don't they have quarterfinals, semifinals, and a finals and just take all the money? I mean, the Sportico article, which I'm sure you all saw the other day, is projecting them when Oklahoma and Texas get in and the media rights deal get improved, that they're going to go from $77 million. Okay. And just for reference, that's 7 times my annual budget. $77 million to each school is going to go to 90-something million per school with 2 more mouths to feed, right? So that's an extra 180 just for the 2 mouths, plus the difference between 90 and 77 for the other 14 members is mind-boggling money. So why not do something different with football? And that money's not coming because, they like to watch SEC basketball or SEC. It's because of the football. So let the football go do its own thing, make it its own national brand, which it already is, and be excited and do the best you can and let the schools spend whatever they want, however they want.
I like it. What effects is NIL having on the smaller schools, the smaller programs? I mean, it almost seems like a situation where the rich just keeps getting richer. How do the smaller programs, draw those kids out? I mean, everybody knows the Travis Hunter signing with Jackson State. I mean, obviously that was an NIL deal. There's no other reason for him to go there other than that. I mean, Deion Sanders can say whatever the heck he wants to say. Everybody knows that the kid's getting paid. But I mean, how do the smaller schools counteract these collectives like you were talking about, like the one that UGA has?
Look, they just can't miss, right? They're not going to have the funds and be able to get as deep as they can. But when they shoot their shot with their money, it better be dead on, and the kid better not get hurt, and they better be able to put parts around them. And I don't think there's going to be very many other ways that they can do that. I think that's going to be about the only way that they can make it happen. Not to say that you still won't have a UCF go 12-0, but it's going to be much more difficult to be able to separate yourself. I think the bigger worry is what's Mississippi State going to do to keep up with Georgia and Alabama. Not so much what's Georgia Southern and Georgia State going to do to keep up with them? I think it's maybe as big a difference as what's happening in Starkville versus what's happening in Tuscaloosa and Athens.
Yeah, and A&M. Ken Lalonde said, I want to know what his thoughts are on A&M. I mean, how do you go from no five-star recruits or something in the last 5 years to having 7 in 1 year? It's obvious, right?
Have you seen gas prices? I think that oil money's doing pretty good right now.
Yep, no doubt. No doubt. Well, what are your coaches and your ADs from your schools that you oversee? What are they saying about NIL and the portal? What kind of questions and concerns are you getting from your folks?
Yeah, so the portal's the big thing for our folks. How are we losing kids? How can we keep kids? We're investing time, energy, and training into these kids. If they go to Division I, that's a whole different deal, right? Go on. If you think that's better, we can make some arguments about whether an experience at Valdosta State or West Georgia is better than an experience at Kennesaw State or Jacksonville State. We could make that argument. That could be another academic argument. But, if you go from Valdosta to Georgia Southern, who can argue with you, right? Go and do your thing. But we've got to, how can we make sure we keep our kids from going to another Division II school, chasing NIL, or getting caught up in the transfer portal? And how can we keep them out of the low FCS realm? So that's really the biggest thing for them. On the NIL piece, I think that we signed a deal with Influencer, which is a big name in the NIL and social media space. We signed a conference-wide deal with them. What we want to do is communicate to our student athletes. If you have the bandwidth and the opportunity, we want to provide you the tools to support you to chase your NIL dreams. But as far as us being able to help you, I don't think you're going to see in Division II collectives outside of Grand Valley State or Texas A&M Commerce or somewhere like that anytime soon. Even in our league where we've got such great teams. I mean, give me just a second to brag on we've been to 5 straight national championship games with the Gulf South Conference. We won 3 of them. So we're very familiar with that, and our ring deal is pretty good because we get to buy a lot of them. So it works out pretty good.
Sweet. Yeah, we have a superstar that's going to be going to Shorter College, Shorter University. She is Lizzie Mitchell, and she goes to Ace, and she is a superstar catcher. I'm going to tell you, I've never seen a catcher in softball at the level that they play at. They can block up like she can, and she doesn't let many get past her, and she don't let many girls steal on her either at second. She guns them down. So be watching out for that name when you're watching the Shorter University softball games. But
we'll keep an eye on it.
That's right.
3 GSC teams ranked in the top 25 in softball this week, by the way, too. So
that's awesome.
I'm not skimping over there either.
No, sir. Well, good deal, guys. You got anything? Go ahead.
Yeah, I got one more question. My dad just sent me one on text message. His name's John. He says, how are the decisions by the coaches going to be impacted when they don't play the players who receive huge NIL deals? If they're not ready to play that first year coming in, but they've already signed that NIL deal as a freshman.
Yeah, I think your dad asked a really good question there. It's going to be a tough one for the folks to manage, but you might think that maybe football begins looking a little bit more about like basketball and how quickly freshmen are expected to produce and play, right? The $8 million quarterback word on the street, the Tennessee kid, right? The quarterback out west is going to Tennessee. It'll be very hard for Coach Heupel to keep him on the bench very long if the UT Knoxville collective's has helped him get any portion of that $8 million, and those are the big donors whose names are on buildings too. So I think he identifies some. That's one I would be more worried about if I was a fan or a coach than the offensive lineman's not getting anything, but the quarterback's getting a lot. They'll figure that out, right? They're 18 to 22-year-old kids. They'll figure out either that quarterback will take a hit or two, or they'll share it, or the kids will just say, hey, forget it, good for him. They'll figure that out. But the one that question you asked there, that's a perceptive and good question there.
Matt, you got anything?
I guess mine's going to be I don't want to say devil's advocate, but what are the positives to? Can we talk about a lot of the negatives? I'm on the side of I don't think it's good for college sports, but what are some positives that besides for the players? What other positives are there for the universities or for the conferences themselves?
Yeah, no, I think there are some, right? So that's a good question, Matt. Thanks for asking that. The positives are without the student athletes, we've got no game we love, right? As big as the logos are, as big as the coaches are, we're not there. There'd be other people playing. Maybe the quality goes down. Some people could say that. But the student athletes are the ones we want to take care of. There are millions and millions of dollars being made by these very top tier schools on these sports. Student athletes deserve to share in some of that. So that's good. I think also this is a half measure that may keep the institutions from having to make them full-time employees or pursue other things which don't necessarily jive with the institution's academic mission. So I think this is a step that maybe allows us to retain the institution's academic mission and identity while acknowledging what these sports mean to the school, to the bottom line, to the fans, things like that. So I think there's some positives. I'm very glad with how we've become a little more student athlete friendly. You know, even in the health and safety space, there's so many more resources to help battle. You know, there's a growing mental health crisis among young people. And you look at that group that's in high school right now, having to live through 2 years of COVID, plus the anxiety that already exists. And these are the kids that are coming in next that we're going to root for with our uniforms. They're coming in with a little baggage, but some of this money and some of these opportunities provide them an opportunity to shine their light on it and hopefully do some good. So I'm hopeful that there will be some good. I'm glad the student athletes are going to be able to receive some additional benefit from this. You know, there's nothing to scoff at. You know, Brian knows he's got 2 in college. I don't know where you guys are at. There's nothing to scoff at when those tuition payments come due and they don't have one. And then they grab their Pell Grant money and they grab their meals and their other things. I'm not scoffing at any of that, but when the SEC can distribute $77 million per school, there's some money out there for players to share in that sort of stuff. And I'm glad that we're getting the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, it's great points. And, you know, I can't help but think about Todd Gurley and how he got suspended for signing his autograph, you know, charging for his autograph, and just completely insane. Kid could have been a Heisman candidate that year. He was a Heisman candidate until he got suspended, 3 games? So
AJ Green, 4 games for his jersey.
Yep. So yeah, it's we're living in a different world. And all of us, you know, we don't want to see college sports change. For me, college football is the best thing out there. There's nothing that compares. And with the MLB not starting up on time, I really got into college baseball, and we watch a lot of Mercer games. And I know you're familiar with Mercer. They are playing really well right now. And so, you know, I just encourage folks to get out there and support your local college teams, and you know, put your money there, because that's going to be the future of college sports.
Absolutely. Go watch a Division II or an FCS or Division III game, come back home and enjoy a much cheaper experience in your recliner with your own beverages and food and your 70-inch TV for the big boys. And that'll help them keep making those big payments if ESPN keeps having you tune in. So you'll be doing them a favor there too. Absolutely.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Tell your family I said hello. Love keeping up with you guys on Facebook and seeing what you're doing and seeing what Mia playing volleyball and whatnot. And I mean, it's amazing. Time rolls on and stops for no one, but I'm glad that I can keep up with you guys and see what you're doing. But hey, thanks so much for coming on. Matt, Kevin, y'all got any final thoughts?
Nope, just want to thank you for coming on.
Yep. Yeah, we appreciate your time, Matt. Thank you.
Yep.
That's awesome. Hey, it was a lot of fun. I hope we can do it maybe this time again next year, or you can do a special show if Valdosta or West Georgia win a national championship. We can have a special, and I'll get you some shirts for that. All right.
All right.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys a lot. Really appreciate it. Good luck with the Enterprise, and Brian, we appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Man, that was awesome. Mm-hmm. That was awesome. Good stuff there. Good information that you're not going to get anywhere else. And some good insight there from Mr. Wilson there in Birmingham. So good stuff. Well, guys, it's that time, man. It is that time. We got to get into it. G-Day. All ready to roll the G-Day? Let's roll that G-Day pregame footage.
Well, the sun is peeking in and out of the clouds here in the Classic City in the greatest college town in America.
Football is back. The stadium is packed. We're loving it.
Quick throw. Picked up. Access to Chris Smith. He might have a shot. Going to the house. 40, 30,
Bennett for a throw. Deep ball down the middle. McConkey, touchdown right down the middle. 60-yard strike. We block it in the end zone. Ball is bouncing. We're diving on it. We got it. We got it. He'll throw it into the end zone. Touchdown. Touchdown. Kenny Mack threw it to A.D. Mitchell. 10-5. Touchdown. 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 Georgia.
Dogs are winners. A national championship for a new generation of Bulldogs.
Great stuff, man. Great stuff. Cannot believe it. We are here for another G-Day, and we are national champions and ready to turn that page and look forward. So, guys, let's get into it. I know Matt wanted to talk about some players to look forward to, but I also wanted to mention there's some other spring games on Saturday. Arkansas's at 12 p.m., Mississippi State. Of course, Georgia at 1 on ESPN2. We're the only school being live, have live footage on ESPN. Love it because we typically get booted to the streaming. And this year, Alabama got booted to the streaming. So I'm completely excited about that because everyone knows you got to hate Alabama. So South Carolina's on at 7 p.m. Now, that one might be an interesting one to see. See Spencer Rattler over there, see what he looks like playing for South Carolina. But just thought I'd mention that to everybody. Of course, had some good weeks of practice. This past week, Kirby came out and said that Stetson's been a good leader. He's playing the best football he plays since being here, and he continues to get better. And I want to see him continue to do that, and so do we. I think that's one thing we talked about all last season is that this kid's he's continued to improve. And if you give him the snaps, give him the ability, give him the opportunity, he's going to come up and show out. All right, Matt. It's your time, my friend. It's your time. Players to watch. So give us the overlay of the land. Tell me who you want to see and why.
So first we get started, let's talk about what the spring game is. The spring game for us is really for the fans. Let's leave it at that. It's not really for – the coaches get to see stuff and get to evaluate and kind of move around, but they've had plenty of practices. They're going to have summer's workouts and eventually into fall practice. But ultimately, the spring game is for the fans. It's for us to sit there and play armchair, coaches and tell – to get us excited about who we think should be in these roles coming into next year's fall practices and fall lineups and stuff. So, that's the best thing about this piece. It's about going, enjoying a good opportunity, especially for those who don't even get an opportunity maybe to go to games during the actual regular season. Go enjoy this game because guess what? Georgia's going to win no matter what. So that's a good thing about it. So either side's going to win. So it's going to be fun to watch. It's not going to be a full game. You won't see a lot of great running back play. Let's just be honest. It's going to be a lot of throwing the ball around, seeing how these quarterbacks read their coverages and how they're getting through the playbook, especially some of these young guys and seeing developing. So, but for me, my own personal opinion, what I think we should be looking at is a middle linebacker situation. I think we call that, was it the Sam linebacker? I'm not 100% sure with that. That mainly because we've seen a good progression for the last 6 to 8 years with the middle linebacker position. We've had some extremely smart, sports IQ smart linebackers who have come through our doors and seen some great things from them. Starting with Smith, who came and had a really rough freshman and even sophomore year, but blossomed massively into a leader and one of the best linebackers in the country. For us in 2017 with him. So his development was key, and he was the key leader in the quarterback for the defense. From that point he sprung Rice, who came in, and Rice was that same kind of thing. He had that tutelage underneath Smith to get that thing through thing, and then the same thing happened with Nakobe. Nakobe came underneath Rice for 2 years. If you watch Nakobe's freshman year, he didn't know where he was sometimes. He had no clue, which is very expected of a linebacker. That is a lot of head knowledge and coverages and things to change at a blink of a second to know in that position. And so for us to think that a freshman's going to come in, even if it's our 5-star is going to come in and make an initial impact at linebacker, is just not going to happen. It's not realistic or practical in my opinion. So for us, we need to look at who we have right now on site who can take on that next step, because it would have been great if Tyndall wasn't graduating out. He'd had that leadership. We'd have that experience. But we were gifted with not having a one leader back there. We're having 2 leaders back there. So, that's part of why our national championship and our defense was legendary, because of that leadership and head knowledge and the experience we had back there. So for me, I'm looking at 5 guys, and they're all linebackers. All of them will be in contention for those starting roles to replace those 2 guys. So I'm not sure I'm pronouncing some of these names right, because I'm just not so versed in that. Most of these guys are sophomores or juniors. Will be sophomores and juniors coming in. So I think he say his name is he's got there on the screen. Yeah, Mondon. Yeah.
Smile Munden.
Yeah,
Smile Munden.
Yes, him. So him, Sherman. Dumas Johnson, which we know Dumas Johnson is one of the guys who returned one of those pick sixes for us.
Yep, and you better learn his name is not Jamon, it's Pops.
Okay.
Everybody calls him Pops.
I like that. That means something.
Yes, it does. That's his nickname. Something. Everybody calls him Pops.
We got Marshall, and then we're gonna have, I guess you say his name is Sorry.
Xavier Sorry.
Sorry. So yeah, so those 2. Those 2. Sorry is one of those guys coming out of high school, was that big 5-star. We couldn't believe we got him. We thought he was going to Oregon. He ends up coming to UGA. Had not a lot of playing time on the field, but he did play. He has very high athletic ability. He was the guy who made the interception. I guess who was it against? Was it Charleston or Southern who we played against? Had the interception, ran it back, and eventually got a fumble, caused his own fumble, and they ran it back for their only touchdown. So he's a playmaker, but getting his head in the right spot to read those quarterback changes and those line differences is going to be the key. So those 5 guys, and I like to give you the numbers to be looking for on Saturday, but you know how it is in every year when the new guys come in, they all start changing up numbers and stuff. So I honestly don't know. I looked up today for the rosters to see if the numbers have been given out, but I haven't seen the updated version yet, so I apologize. That's on me. But those are the 3 guys. So looking at those linebackers on both sides of the red and black, seeing those guys move around and see who's being able to cover in space. That's going to be a key thing too. If you watch that Michigan game, how Nakobe Dean was able to run across that field with his speed and get on top of that wide receiver / running back they had. Make that play in the backfield. That's the kind of things that we need to have out of these guys who can read those position changes and those play changes and make adjustments. So those are my defensive players. I know we have some other great things in defense to look out for. Our defensive linemen who are going to replace Davis and Wyatt, but we have guys there who can play that. We've seen these guys move. We've seen a lot of the guys already there. Those are big gap fillers, but not so much the quarterbacks of the defense, the leadership that we're going to need to win that out. We just had a comment. What does that say?
It's Lamar Lovelace. He says Mondon and Pops are going to be a phenomenal duo, and I would totally agree with that.
I like it. I like that. Just saying that he here has a nickname given him by his teammates shows he's already a leader. That's a great thing. So those are some good things. For me on offense, it'll be a little bit different. I know a lot of us like to look at, we love our running backs in Georgia. Don't get me wrong. We love our running backs. But the spring game is not a place to look for running backs. I mean, I could be wrong. We could have these guys. We could have 2 or 3 guys who break out with some big long runs during the spring game and shock us all. I mean, Edwards could come out and be a game changer. But with the different kinds of setup we have with the offensive linemen, it's really hard to get those big runs and really see how good a running back is really going to be in the spring game. We see a lot of passing and stuff. So for me, Dominic Blaylock is one of my one of the guys we should be looking at. Dominic's coming back from his feels like forever, 2-year stint pretty much out. The guy was a game changer coming out of high school, had a great freshman year, really impactful, getting him back to speed, getting that experience back on the field. We need some more depth at wide receiver and more experience depth than anything else. He's there. He's had time to look at the playbook and get familiar with the coaching staff. So I got a feeling he's going to be he'll have a breakout season, help kind of replace some of that loss we have with I forgot the guy who went to Alabama. What's his name, guys? Help me out. Who just lose to Alabama? Oh my goodness.
We don't remember him anymore.
Yeah, it's good. Like that. The names who we do not speak of. Yes,
that's
good.
Right.
That works. So I think he'll be able to replace that piece. Another guy, I talked about him early on the shows we had back in our recruiting time is Starks. This
Jermaine
guy, I don't
Burton.
know. Yeah,
Jermaine Burton. Jermaine Burton.
Yeah,
Kevin
Jermaine
said.
Burton. Yeah, the guy. But yes, this freshman Starks, he's already on campus. I'm really curious to see where he's going to play. Is he going to play secondary? Is he going to play wide receiver? Are they going to let him do some punt return stuff here? In the practices, we won't see a lot of punt return stuff during the game for injury sakes. But is he going to be able to play both sides of the ball? Is he going to be the next, Champ Bailey Force kind of thing? Are we going to see stuff like that? I mean, I'm just kind of curious what they're going to do with this guy. And so seeing him and see how he moves on the field, how he gets acclimated will be really good in that area. CJ Smith, another receiver. I said I don't like looking at freshmen that much, but this guy is very highly underrated in my opinion. Not a lot of praise coming out of recruiting, but I think a guy who's going to show a lot of great, tremendously speed and maybe ball seeking smarts that we all love to guys who go up and get the ball and want the ball. So you can see people like this come out and have a good showing, almost like AD did last year, being as a freshman coming out. No one really knew who he was, and then showed up phenomenal at spring game. And then actually, for once, someone who had a great spring game had a great season. So that's really good things there. We got another comment down at the bottom.
Yeah, Lamar Lovelace says, looking forward to the young DBs and how they match up against our wide receivers in pass game.
Yep. And my last one is, I know the typical spring game guy. I want to see a quarterback. I want to see what Vandergrift does. I want to see how he's changed and what is he going to be the true second quarterback, or is it going to be is Beck still going to remain the secondary quarterback? I think this is his year to show out. I would love for him to come out. I mean, this may have already happened. I would love for him to come out and be like one of our quarterbacks in the past during spring game and said that he doesn't want to do the two-hand touch. He wants to run the ball a little bit and get tackled to show what he can do with his legs. I probably won't let him do that, but that would be something that I would think would be a good leadership tool if he ever wanted to do that. Because the guy can run. He's built pretty solid. But I want to see him sling the ball around. I want to see him get out of the pocket kind of like Stinson does. Get out of the pocket and throw the ball a little bit on the run and see how good his arm is, see how he reads these safeties and stuff coming over the top on him. So those are there's tons of them out there that we want to talk about, but I was told I had to get them down to under 5. So
that's good, man. Good stuff.
I'm like the guy said, I could talk about Tyke Smith coming off his injury and actually being a senior coming out, the transfer we got from last year. Talk about him. All those guys are a lot of things we could talk about and want to talk about. We'll talk a lot about that stuff on our show next week, coming back what we saw and what we think to be. But those are just mine, guys. What do you guys have?
Well, I actually have a surprise for us. I have a special reporter that's just come online here, and I just lost her. Hold on. See if she'll come back.
Well, I'll just go through mine real quick.
Go ahead.
I've got 5, and I won't keep on them for a long while. I got Eric Gilbert, Darnell Washington, Kendall Milton, Kyrus Jackson, Chris Smith. A bunch of those are guys that you know. I mean, all of them you should know. It's just some of them I want to see step up in that leadership role. I'm anxious to see them on that field now that they don't have those current leaders that were there. They've graduated and gone on to bigger and better things. I want to see these guys step up and fill those leadership roles and bring these other younger guys under their wings. There she is.
Hi.
What's
Hey, girl.
up?
How are you?
So this is my daughter Haley. For everybody online, she is enjoying her freshman year at UGA. I asked her to go out to the stadium. Pull your camera up a little high so we can see. There we go. There we go. So she says it's locked. Huh? I couldn't get out there. Well, I figured that might be the case.
They're getting
Well,
ready
Haley,
for the game.
I bet. Tell me a little bit about what you've been seeing there at the stadium. What kind of transformations have taken place? You told me that they had redid the turf.
Yeah,
What
I don't know if they redid the turf, but they definitely redid the paint because the paint wasn't done,
Okay.
and so all the paint is. I wish I could show you, but this thing doesn't turn around. So.
That's fine. It's fine. So you were telling me a little bit about some of the folks that are in your class. I believe you said that who's in your class with you? One of the offensive linemen?
Yeah, I have Micah Morrison in my American Sign Language class.
And so every time he goes into class, tell me a little bit about what transpires, what he has to do.
They have girls or guys, but he has a girl that walks with him, and they have to sign a piece of paper before class and after class so that it says they were there and they didn't leave early. Just making sure that they got to all their classes.
Gotcha. What other things do you see when you see these players walking around campus, especially like Micah, because he's in your class? But what things how do you differentiate these folks from any other student that's there on campus?
You don't.
You don't?
No, you don't. A lot of the football players don't actually walk to class because they have golf carts that ride around and pick them up and take them to their classes. I guess because people would bug them to death, but. Yeah, I think all the other athletes pretty much walk because I've seen a lot of basketball players, but not football players.
Gotcha. Well, that's what I was getting at. And they all have the Georgia gear and the Georgia backpacks and brand new pairs of shoes and all that good stuff, right?
You can definitely spot them for sure.
That's where I was getting. So tell me a little bit about Marius Mims. What are you hearing about him?
I just had a friend that told me, I have a friend that's really close to all the football players, and he said that when he found out that he was leaving, he asked him why, and he said that he couldn't afford staying as second string here, that he wasn't getting enough playing time, and that I heard that he had a little bit of an encounter with the offensive coach because of a lack of effort, so to say. I don't know how true it is, but that's what I heard.
Hey, usually the scuttlebutt is the truth when it's that close in Athens there. So, hey, thank you for coming on. Can't wait to see you this weekend. Love you, and go Dogs.
Love you too. Bye.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Cool. Well,
they're getting so big, Brian.
Yep.
Gosh, they were so tiny a few days ago.
Yep. The way it rolls. That's the way it rolls. We got a few comments here. Let's see. Lamar gave me a laughing emojis. Robbie Sims says, I'm curious to see how Eric does this year. Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
I'm really pulling for this kid after the year he had last year. I hope that he's found the help that he needs. I hope that all the prayers and support from Dog Nation coming behind him. Got him right, that, and then everybody pulls behind him to have a good year. I really do.
Gotcha. Well, here's my 5. Pops is number 5. Can't wait to see what he does on the field. With all the chatter coming out of the press conferences from all the players. It started with Nolan Smith talking about this guy. Everybody asked him about Jamon Dumas Johnson. He's like, who is that? And he's like, and they said, we know him by Pops. So how about that? So that, like Matt said, that's all good stuff. Michael Williams. He was the National Defensive Player of the Year last year in high school. And I'm hearing things like he could potentially start. And I love that idea because if you watch his film, he is a monster. He's throwing people around and doing stuff I've never seen high school players do. So keep your eye out on him. Like Matt said, there's no number up on him yet. So I have no idea. Hopefully they'll have us an updated roster when we get there with the numbers on it. Dominique Blaylock, my number 3. I'm counting down 5-1 here. Dominique Blaylock. Gosh, I can't say more about this kid. He's done nothing but work, keep his head straight, and everything that's coming out of Athens about Dominique Blaylock right now is nothing but positive. Said he's back to pre-injury status. He's cutting. He's running his routes sharp. He's not the fastest guy, but he is quick off the snap, and that's what we need is a good slot receiver. And I think he's going to step right in and fill that role. Let's see. Lamar Lovelace says, excellent work by the future ESPN Haley. I appreciate that. Robert Sims says, that's cool, buddy. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad she did that for me. So right along with Matt. Matt's thinking the same thing I am. I want to see a quarterback. I want to see our number 2. We already know that Stetson's going to be number 1. There's no getting around that. But I want to see who the number 2 is. Is it going to be Carson Beck or Brock Vandegrift? And I got to tell you, I'm really pulling for Beck, and he's put in the work. I watched a show the other day where his grandmother called in on a radio show, and it was unbelievable. I wish I could have downloaded it, but I was afraid I was going to get trouble. But I wish I could show it to you guys. Matt and Kevin, I'm going to send you the link. It's unbelievable. She talks about him and how she knows more about football than we do. I'm pretty sure the way she was talking. So I'm really pulling for Beck. I was disappointed with him in that game last year. I guess it was UAB where he threw the pick. Was it UAB? He threw the pick and the lackluster effort. And obviously he never saw the field again after that. And so I'm ready to see him step up and take the lead. But, guys, Brock Vandegrift and Gunnar Stockton are the future of our program. And if you think about how Alabama's rise to where they are now it started with somebody like Stetson Bennett, okay? The no-name quarterback. We didn't know nothing about him. And then you had A.J. McCarron come in. And then after that, all the other great quarterbacks came in after A.J. McCarron, right? So we could be on a 10-year run here where we're just stacking quarterbacks one after the other. And I know that you guys may think I'm crazy, but I think we've got as good of a chance for the Manning kids as anybody. And, you're talking about 10 years worth of quarterbacks right here just lined up one after the other. So anyway, but I just want to see what's going to happen with this quarterback, with the number 2 quarterback, and he's going to be the guy. But Eric Gilbert, this is the kid I am most excited to see. Just like Lamar said, he is going to be extraordinary. And if you want to see some great things out of Georgia's offense, and I want to see – I think Georgia had a good offense. Some would argue great offense last year. But I want to see an elite offense out of Georgia. And I think that this kid right here could be the difference maker. If you remember last year, Todd Monken run a lot of 13 personnel. And for you guys that don't know what 13 personnel is, it's 3 tight ends, 1 wide receiver, and 1 running back. This kid right here with Darnell Washington and Brock Bowers on the field give us the opportunity to do whatever we want to do. If you want to throw the ball, if the defense has, a pass defense in, you want to run it, we got the guys to run it because they're already on the field. You want to turn around and throw the ball, you can turn around and throw the ball. The play calling is infinite with these guys on the field. They open up the opportunity for Todd Monken to do so many different things. And you don't have to swap personnel out when you got these guys on the field because they can catch and they can block and they can do it with the best of them. But that's my spiel. I know we're running long on time here. Tell me what your keys to successful to get G-Day is going to be there, Matt.
Everybody staying healthy, no injuries. This needs to be a fun day for everybody to enjoy. fans to get together, celebrate a great season, and looking to the future. Like I said, not looking in the past, but now turning the page, looking to the future, and everybody coming out of this game nice and healthy. My one little thing I will say before my time is up is that if you're out there in the stands, usually a lot of the recruits are there for the game as well. If you see them and say hey, let them know thank you for coming. Let them guys know that we want them on our team. Let them not think that they're just another spectator. That we know, hey, you guys are what the future could be, the future for our team. We're the fans. You're part of the family. Welcome to our stand. Hope you come and stay with us. So don't don't say go stalk somebody and sit next to them. But if you're walking, the hedge line, yell up at them, hey, welcome. Good, glad you're here. Especially if you guys keep up recruiting, their names, yell it out. They love that stuff, man. Those guys love it.
Yep. Kevin?
I think Matt said it all for us, man. He pretty much wrapped it up. That was my thing is stay healthy. We don't need anybody injured. No more injuries. We had enough of those in practice.
For real.
All right. True dog pound fashion here. We're going to do some score predictions. All right. What you got? Score prediction and who wins?
Georgia wins. Game over.
Yeah.
Red or black, though? Red or black? Red won last year. Year before that, black won.
I don't really know. I haven't got the separation of who's on what. Yes, I'm just going to say red.
Red. I like it.
Red by 10 points.
Red is usually first-string offense, correct?
Against first-string defense.
Yes. I'm going to go with red.
Okay. I like it. All right. Well, I think I'm going to do the same thing. Let's just all go red. So red, I'm going to go 27-21. 27-21, red. Good stuff. All right, guys, any final thoughts before we jet out? Let me make sure we ain't got any more comments. No more comments. Enjoyed the time with you guys. It's been a lot of fun. Really a lot of good information that we got from Mr. Matt Wilson, and I do appreciate him taking the time out of his busy schedule because I know being a conference commissioner is probably more than I ever thought about wanting to do, but he does it, and he does it well, and he makes sure he takes time to spend with his kids because I see him on all the videos. So good stuff, man. Any final thoughts before we jump out of here?
Come join us at our tailgate before G-Day.
Yes.
Come hang out with us, meet us, say hey, enjoy a burger and a drink.
Yes.
like
Please RSVP in the event on the page so we know we can provide some food for you. Please come and be ready to enjoy some good fellowship and a good football game.
Love it. Well, guys, I do appreciate it again. It's been a ton of fun. Can't wait to get back on here next Thursday night. We're going to be recapping G-Day, talking about all the big players that have showed up, showed out, and we'll be ready to do this again. So I'm Brian. This is Matt. Mr. Kevin, signing off one more time, and go Dogs!
Go Dogs!